A big surprise exploded in the midst of an atmosphere that should have been ordinary. During a live broadcast, Taehyung suddenly made a statement that left millions of fans around the world silent. The words that came out of his mouth not only sounded shocking, but also sparked wild interpretations that directly pointed to Jungkook's position in BTS. The question then arose sharply. Was what Taehyung said a hidden signal about a major change in the group's structure? Or just a spontaneous expression that was then exaggerated by the public? Within minutes after that moment, the clip of Taehyung's live spread across various platforms such as TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. ARMY's reaction peaked. Many linked the statement to Jungkook's condition, who lately had often been talked about publicly because of his emotional expressions. Speculation emerged. Was what Taehyung meant actually related to Jungkook's role in BTS, which had always been considered central, or was there another dynamic that had not yet been revealed? But more worryingly, was the public truly ready to face reality if the statement indeed signaled a major shift in the group's journey? When Taehyung spoke in a tone that looked serious, some viewers felt that his words were not mere small talk. The short yet meaningful sentence made ARMY in various countries immediately conclude that this was a warning signal. Why did Taehyung choose to reveal it during a live, in front of thousands of eyes watching directly? Did he deliberately use the moment to channel his anxiety? And was that anxiety really related to Jungkook's position, who is said to be the center of attention? Such questions have now become a discussion that does not subside. The public then linked back the live moment with several previous incidents. Jungkook had been seen emotional several times in performances or interactions with fans. He had shown a sad expression, even falling silent in the midst of a moment that should have been full of joy. Did Taehyung actually want to bring up this condition? Was what he meant with his words a form of empathy for his closest colleague who might be carrying extraordinary pressure? Or further still, was this a hidden criticism of certain parties suspected of putting excessive burden on Jungkook? The uproar did not stop at the level of light analysis. Some fans began linking Taehyung's statement to the possibility of a restructuring in the roles of each member. They speculated, could Jungkook possibly be placed in a new position, either symbolically or practically, in BTS's future journey? The question indeed sounded extreme, but it could not be denied that the narrative increasingly gained traction among fans hungry for certainty. However, was it not too risky if the public immediately believed without clarity? Was it not possible that the statement was merely a fragment of a long conversation that was then cut to create sensation? Meanwhile, another part of ARMY saw this moment as a serious warning. They believed Taehyung would not say such a thing without reason. If his statement did indeed point to Jungkook, then it could be that there was an internal problem far greater than what appeared on the surface. This certainly raised the question, was BTS facing a critical phase that could potentially change the course of the group's history? And if indeed something big was about to happen, why did the signal appear through a live broadcast and not via a more controlled communication channel? Not a few fans also highlighted Taehyung's facial expression when he made the statement. His gaze looked pressured, as if holding a burden that could not be openly expressed. Jungkook once again became the focus of discussion because many judged that his position in BTS had now become an issue that could not be ignored. But was Taehyung's statement truly confirmation of this speculation? Or was it rather the public that was too quick to conclude something not necessarily aligned with reality? Interestingly, every time a big issue involving BTS emerged, the same pattern always appeared. Video clips spread, interpretations distorted the meaning, then speculation swelled until creating a new narrative that was hard to break. In this case, were we seeing a similar pattern? Was Taehyung's statement really a code about Jungkook's future in BTS? Or was this just a fabricated interpretation from the public in haste? From a broader perspective, this issue actually opened an important debate about how a piece of speech could change global perception. The public tended to be trapped in the game of emotions, especially when involving figures as big as Taehyung and Jungkook. But the crucial question was, were we as viewers not becoming victims of a narrative deliberately built to keep attention focused on BTS? And was there truly a big thing waiting behind the scenes? Or were we only trapped in digital drama continuously maintained by social media? Every word that came out of Taehyung's mouth during the live is now sharply analyzed, replayed countless times, and interpreted in various ways. ARMY split into two camps: those who believed this was a real signal about Jungkook's position change, and those who saw it as just an ordinary moment blown out of proportion. But who was right? And how could we ensure the truth without falling into the trap of speculation? In the end, this news emphasized that in the digital era, a simple statement could turn into a global explosion. The extraordinary public reaction was merely proof of how huge BTS's influence was in shaping world conversation. However, still there was one lingering question. Did Taehyung's shocking statement truly indicate that something big was about to happen to Jungkook and BTS? Or was it just part of media dynamics always hungry for controversy? Until now, the answer remained a mystery. The public was once again shocked by a huge wave of debate triggered by Taehyung's surprising moment in his live broadcast. The atmosphere that initially seemed relaxed suddenly turned dramatic when Taehyung uttered a sentence immediately interpreted in various ways by fans. ARMY instantly linked it to Jungkook's position in BTS, as if the statement was a hidden signal. However, a big question then emerged. Was what was implied in Taehyung's expression and words truly a sign of more serious internal dynamics, or was the public merely trapped in a play of perception full of emotional pitfalls? Reactions on various social media platforms further muddied the situation. TikTok was filled with clips of the live, accompanied by highly subjective narratives. YouTube aired speculative analyses from various channels emphasizing that Taehyung seemed to want to convey something long withheld. Twitter was filled with heated discussions, with some ARMY stating they sensed tension, while others considered it merely an interpretation engineered for sensation. The urgent question to ask was, were fans truly seeing objective reality, or were they instead being influenced by a stream of narratives deliberately formed to create drama? If observed further, this phenomenon showed how one sentence or small expression could develop into a global issue shaking the public. Why was the public so quick to believe that Taehyung's words had hidden meaning? Did this reflect ARMY's longing for openness behind the scenes of BTS? Or was this merely a reflection of fans' emotional need always to seek deeper meaning behind every action of their idols? Such questions must be asked seriously, because without critical analysis, we risked becoming victims of sensationalism. Moreover, the link between Taehyung's words and Jungkook's position in BTS has now become the main speculation. Some claimed something big would soon happen, as if the brief statement was an early alarm. But how valid was this claim? Was it not possible that all this was merely the result of an overcooked narrative? Fans needed to ask themselves, were they seeing reality, or was this merely perception shaped by emotional bias? This situation created a serious challenge for the public to distinguish fact from interpretation. Many small media on YouTube and Twitter deliberately highlighted conspiratorial narratives to grab attention. Video clips were edited in such a way as to strengthen the assumption that there was deep tension between Taehyung, Jungkook, and their positions in the group. But was that really so? Did the evidence truly support this claim, or actually show otherwise? Without clear analysis, society would only be trapped in a maze of false information. Another critical question was, why was every statement or expression of BTS members always dragged into a big narrative about internal conflict? Was there truly substantial reason for that? Or was this merely a collective mindset formed from past publication trauma? In other words, did the public really want to know the truth? Or did they rather enjoy the drama arising from speculation itself? We also had to consider the motives of those spreading the narrative. TikTok and Twitter clearly benefited from increased engagement. YouTube channels raising the issue gained millions of views in hours. So, who actually benefited? Did ARMY truly gain clarity? Or were they being exploited as consumers whose emotions were continually used? On the other hand, many stated that Taehyung's live moment should be viewed as an artist's emotional honesty. However, could that honesty truly be interpreted directly, or did the expression still require contextual questioning? Without clear evidence, all claims linking it to Jungkook were mere assumptions. Thus, it was important for the public to restrain themselves, reconsider, and ask, did everything shown on screen truly reflect reality, or merely illusion created by camera and media narrative? What could not be ignored was the emotional impact on ARMY. They cried, were shocked, even angry after watching the live clip. But was that emotional reaction aligned with facts? Was it not precisely this excessive reaction that made the issue grow even bigger? Thus, the public must again reflect. Did they want to be critical consumers of information, or merely followers of the current easily ignited by viral narrative? It must be emphasized again that all circulating information still came from media platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. There had been no strong verification that could be relied upon. Therefore, the public must be more skeptical. The question was, could we hold ourselves back from immediately believing what was shown on screen? Or had we become accustomed to letting emotion take over logic? This phenomenon opened our eyes to the bitter reality of modern entertainment. Every action of idols, no matter how small, could be twisted into a narrative that seemed monumental. ARMY had to ask themselves, was Taehyung truly giving a signal about Jungkook's position in BTS, or was it merely an interpretation born of longing for new drama? If we could not distinguish fact from fiction, then we would continue to be victims of the cycle of sensationalism. In the end, we must face the most fundamental question. Was something big truly going to happen? Or would the statement simply evaporate as a brief moment blown up by the public? If the answer to this question never became clear, why did the public still force themselves to believe a narrative not yet proven?